All right, is everyone here? Everyone's ready to go. Welcome to the call, guys. What's up, Raquel? How you doing? Well, guys, we want to welcome you to the call. This is a DocuSign kind of Q&A training kind of guide call. We have brought Kelly Cote from HQ. She's the DocuSign expert. I am not. And then later on, we're going to get one of the tech trainers, the Market Center tech trainers, who has a bit of experience in that to kind of share some of his insight. But guys, as we move forward in this call, my encouragement to you and my ask of you is, if you can contribute, please jump in. We're a village here. We're here to help one another, and let's just help each other out. So with that being said, Kelly, can you just say hi and introduce yourself, tell them who you are and everything?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And thank you seriously, Paul. I love getting to talk with different leaders across our country. So thank you for the invite. Kelly Cote, and I was an MCA for a little over 10 years out in California, although I was born in Arizona. So the Southwest region is near and dear to my heart. I joined Keller Williams Realty International just a month ago as the Market Center Labs Manager. So my job is to represent our leaders to make sure that what we are providing at Keller Williams supports you and supports your businesses. So basically, at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for, is making sure that you are running the most efficient and profitable market centers possible, working with our technology departments, Keller Williams University, maps, marketing, kind of just every single department. I am your voice. So I look forward to getting to know all of you better. And then, right, as originally, I'm one of the original labs advisors. So I've been using Command since 2017. And I transitioned, my market center was the first one to transition over fully into compliance and commissions of September of last year. So definitely a lot of experience in Command and Command MC.
Awesome. Awesome. So before we dig in, I'm going to share a link with a few resources that one of the other RTTs have done with their region. And just so you know, this is for the state of Florida. So obviously it's going to be different, but it kind of gives you some guideline on what you can kind of learn from. So I'll share that link and I'll upload the documents and you can download it straight from the chat room. But let's get straight into it. Who has a question that, Kelly, how do you want to play this? Do you want to kind of do Q&A, or how do you want to do this?
The way that these usually have worked out the best is anybody who has a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. And that way we don't worry about people talking over each other or somebody getting missed. And Paul and I can just kind of go down the chat, hitting one at a time. And if we need further clarification, we'll ask you. And at that point, kind of speak up and give us some more details on it. But right, happy to speak to compliance, commissions, DocuSign, retention inside the Command demo account, whatever it is that's going to be most valuable to you today.
So why don't I do this? Here we go. We've got the questions rolling in. So let's start there. How do I send a document to my broker to sign?
Okay, so this one is a little bit of an odd one. I don't know about you guys. I'm from California, where the broker or broker's representative is supposed to physically sign or initial like every single page of every single contract. Is that the same in your area? Kind of, yes, a little bit, maybe. All right.
Yes.
So we have a few different things. One, my market center basically was just out of compliance because there is no easy way right now to have every single page sent to the broker other than training your agents or setting up your templates to always have the last step be sending to the broker through DocuSign so that they can then initial and sign every single page. Our broker was like, nope, not going to do it. When we get audited, you print out the documents and I will initial them then, kind of thing. But we do make sure, though, that within the file system, it does show that we logged in, that our broker logged in, that he did review each document. And so our attorney said that that would be enough, that we can prove that he did review everything, even if his physical signature or initial wasn't on there. So I would suggest that your brokers speak with your attorneys and see if that is something that would work for your state as well. And if not, then you're going to be adding and training your agents that on every single document, after it's signed by everybody, that it goes to the broker for initials and signatures. And you could do that just through the envelopes of DocuSign. So Kenny says, do we have a way or will have a way to link agent info into a template? Yes, absolutely. There is a way. So when you go into DocuSign at the beginning, and I might even open up DocuSign and share my screen if that'll make this easier. So yeah, let me go ahead. And so I am logged in right now as an agent view, so not an admin view. So this is what agents would see. And when they go to the room, it sends them straight to documents, right? When you click from inside of command, you say go to transaction or start a transaction, this is where it takes you. But if you go to the details screen, just to the left of it, and you take the time, if the agent takes the few minutes to fill out this information on the seller 1, seller 2, scrolling down, they get the listing agent. If there's co-listing agents, and then buyers and the buyer's agent, this auto-populates into the DocuSign forms. So absolutely, that is a huge time saver. The second is if you are using templates instead of this, because again, this is just the DocuSign forms. If you go into the e-signature section and you access templates, make sure that you're assigning roles to people, and then from within the role, it'll autofill as well. If I say that Paul Hugh is the listing agent, and then this document says that the listing agent has to sign it, it'll auto bring in Paul's information. So you've got a couple of different ways, again, whether you're in the DocuSign forms or if you're up here inside of the templates.
Kelly, are we able to customize some of those or I know we can't right now, but will we be able to customize some of those autofill features in the detail section? Maybe add a license number or, I don't know, something else?
Yeah, so we are actually in communication with DocuSign right now about getting in more custom fields that they just don't have in existence yet, and B, having those fields that our agents are already completing inside of the command opportunity, having those auto push more information to the DocuSign details. So there'd be, again, just trying to eliminate that double entry, right? I mean,
right.
I don't know anybody who enjoys entering the same information more than once. So we're in communication with DocuSign. I discovered just last week that DocuSign moves at a slower pace than Keller Williams, I guess, to put it in a nice way. They basically make changes and decisions on a quarterly basis. So I would not expect to see that happen soon necessarily, but please be aware that, yeah, we know it's an issue. We have spoken with DocuSign and it is being addressed.
Thank you.
I was like, I think we get a little spoiled working with a company that makes changes so quickly based on, like, I'll be on, just Google and I'm like, yeah, I don't like how Google does that. I should email them and tell them to fix it. Because we just get so spoiled of working with a company who listens to us and basically does what we ask. So great question, Kenny. Moving on. Dave has an issue with a missing form in DocuSign. So the status change form for the MLS, and that's definitely an important form, right? Especially right now with listings and who knows what's happening based on shelter-in-place mandates. So what's the proper path to alert them or upload for the benefit of the office? I believe that one of the resources that Paul shared with you is the form that you can use for DocuSign. I'm gonna suggest that you be as specific as possible, attach videos, attach documents, do whatever you need to do. The way I think about it is I'm gonna ask my grandmother to make a change. And so I need to be as specific as possible with my grandmother. And so that's kind of how I treat DocuSign. When I say, like, this form is called and it's exactly this. And on page 3, field, and I'll make attachments and I'll have boxes or circles of what needs to change. And if that's not one of the resources that Paul uploaded, he and I will work together to make sure that you all have that. MCAs should have received that earlier.
Yeah, Kelly, this is Dave. So I sent a DocuSign support request with an attachment of the actual form. And what they sent me back was contact your Keller Williams support, which I had done previously, who said, oh, no, you have to contact DocuSign and your MCA knows how to do that, which of course they do not.
Yeah, so right, the MCAs are the ones who are supposed to be submitting that. And it used to be just an email address that we would send. And now it's a specific form that they want all of those changes. And so is anybody on the call familiar with that form, or is this new to, I guess, raise your hand if you heard of the form I'm talking about. Couple people. Okay. Yeah. So you're right. It was sent out, what, a couple of months ago, I want to say. I've honestly lost track of time with shelter in place. But it was a few months ago. And again, Paul and I will make sure that everybody on this call gets it. But it is intended very specifically. It is a communication between the MCA and DocuSign directly whenever new forms come out, whenever forms are updated, if the update didn't happen, if form fields are mismatched. So some people say, like, we've seen some forms where the listing agent and the buyer's agent were swapped, right? So if there's any kind of issues like that with specifically the DocuSign forms, that's how we can use that. Let's see here. So Training Room says, we have a question about commissions with Cloudmore and Winmore. When there's double-sided commission sides, yes, definitely that happens. So what's kind of best practices around that? So absolutely having one opportunity for the listing side and one opportunity for the buy side. That's good, just a good practice for agents, knowing that they're supposed to be uploading their paperwork. We certainly, I don't know about you guys, but I've had a couple of agents over the years who got a little lazy on double ending transactions, and we're like, no, it's still your job to upload paperwork. However, the bigger issue is that coming in the future, we're going to be able to have conversations and discussions, not just between the brokerage and the agent, but between the agent and their client. And there will absolutely come a time when there is a communication between the listing agent and a seller that the buyer should not be privy to. Examples would be, where the sellers are getting a divorce and they're basically willing to accept any price, right? That's not something that a buyer or a buyer's agent should be privy to. And so we definitely want to make sure that we have that segregation of opportunities. So there's a couple things at play here, though. Some market centers have created checklists that are intended specifically for double-sided opportunities, where the buyer side is a normal checklist, but then the listing side, the listing paperwork is normal. But then after that, there's just a couple of items in the under contract folder that are specific just to the listing side. And because they're calling it, their dual agency opportunity. So that's a possibility that you could do. My market center, we were like, no, you're in charge of your paperwork, go do it that way. And then additionally, those commissions, right now, each side still has to submit a commission request through Command. But what we're going to be having available in the future is that we're going to be able to link up those commissions inside of Winmore. So we'll be able to say, hey, yes, this is for a transaction or an opportunity that already exists. And so now if we want, we can assign the same DA number to both of those transactions and have a dual agency inside of Winmore as well. And that's just going to be a market center choice. I personally ended up liking having the two separate DAs for each side, one for the list side and one for the buy side. That was something that we just did when we moved to Command, and I ended up really liking it, and so did my agents, that it was very clear this was the list side commission, this was the buy side commission, and they didn't have questions on why am I capping on this one but not this, and what's going on, and it was just very clear. Okay, any questions, any other questions on dual agency? Because I know that can be like a little weird mess sometimes. Okay. And then lots of resources from Paul uploaded. Thanks, seriously, you guys. Paul just gave you guys a bunch of amazing things. I'm looking at them. The DocuSign training guide especially is great. All right, so Teresa says, Arizona, the broker does not need to physically sign. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's so, seriously, our average documents and our checklists, the standard checklist in California has 122 items, and average transactions have between 80 and 90 documents that the broker has to sign every page of every document. Like, God bless Arizona, seriously. DocuSign works great for the few docs that they do need to sign. I'm really happy to hear that, so thank you, Teresa. All right, Justin says, I'm brand new to KW and Command this week. Welcome, Justin. How would one get to something that calls up DocuSign? So there's a couple of different ways that you can access DocuSign as an office administrator. I kind of always just cheated and went straight to realestate.docusign.com. Like, to me, that was the fastest, most direct route. And again, that was realestate.docusign.com. Log in as the administrator in the service account. That should be the KLRW email address. And that's how you could get into the admin account. You also can access it from command. So if you already had command open and you're doing other compliance review and whatnot, you can definitely click the go to DocuSign button from there, but it will just take you to realestate.docusign.com. And Kelly Garcia, do you have a question? You just took yourself off mute.
No, I'm actually just listening in on all this and getting the information right now. I actually just got onboarded as admin for one of our offices here in Las Vegas.
Awesome. Well, welcome to you too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
is I love Keller Williams. I was raised by also a Keller Williams agent, so I think that kind of helps. My mom she was the top agent in her market center for about a decade a while ago, and she now is still an agent, but she also heads up the compliance department. And so this is like near and dear to my heart of the easier I can make my mom's life, and therefore mine, because she's not having to call me up every week with questions, the better. So I am like 100% all in on making compliance as smooth as it can be.
Yes, yeah. I know our office here, we're all starting to get used to command. We're all trying to get used to. There's a lot of bugs that we're trying to overcome and work with. So we're all very excited to kind of learn a little bit more about it.
Awesome. All right, so the lady with the totally cool and awesome chair has a question saying, our agents are used to the templates in Dotloop. Is there a way to create those like they are in Dotloop where the form fields are there along with the broker info on all the docs? So again, if you fill out that first page of that details section, it's going to auto-populate a lot of that information into the DocuSign forms. If you're using anything that's not a DocuSign form like templates, then absolutely, the admin account can create templates that they can then share with the entire market center with just the click of a button. And the nice side of that is that as an agent joins your office, they automatically get access to those templates. And when they leave your market center, they lose access to those templates. However, if an agent in your market center makes a change to that shared template, it affects everybody. Right, guess what? I did not know that until one of my agents put their name into the shared template, and every single agent in the office now saw that, Bob Smith, anyway. So another option that you can do with those templates is download it on your end. Don't share it, but download it, and then you can email it to each of your agents and say, hey, upload this, and then it becomes their own template. The downside of that is that you'll have to manually or put in your checklist of onboarding every time an agent joins your market center, give them that upload packet that you're going to have for them for their templates.
So they're used to having the templates already created, and they're just pulling them into their loop, and they want to just pull them into their room. So my biggest request from all my agents is where can I just have a template that I always use for all my loops and just pull it in and has everything like that. If I share it, then they can change it. Then that doesn't really.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen again. And so I am inside of DocuSign, and I'm in as a person, not an admin right now. And so you can see that I went to the e-signatures, and I'm now inside of templates. And if I click on this authorization to exclude from the MLS, this is a template that actually let me log out, and I'll log in as the admin, and then I can show you the full capabilities of it. And so, right, so what this can do is, basically like those Dotloop templates of certain things, if they obviously with their license number over and over, right? It's the same license number, it's the same brokerage name. Those things don't have to change from transaction to transaction. And so that's where templates can come in. And here we go. So again, I'm logged in using the service account. And so you're going to see a whole bunch of templates all of a sudden.
We can't see your screen, Kelly.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for
I saw it.
Seriously, thank you. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it.
And you can see that I'm in DocuSign, yes?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So these are the different templates that I'd created as an MCA that I then shared with my agents. Here, I'll scroll to the one that everybody loves, so I can find it. Because we were from California. And so, of course, we had the marijuana grow house disclosure and advisory, right? So when you come into this form, you create the fields. Here we go. And any of these fields, I've created this within the template itself so that as soon as an agent brings this into their envelope, the buyer signature field is already filled out and is pre-templated to the role of buyer. So whoever they've listed as buyer 1 on that detail, it's going to automatically be ready for the buyer signature. If it was calling for the license number, I would have a field that the agents could then fill out as their license number. So this is a way that you can create those that your agents can then access from inside of the envelopes of DocuSign. Does that make sense?
Yes, but can they only get them in their envelopes? Because I had another agent who had created a lot of templates, and he put them in the folder My Docs so that his other agents in Reno could get it and put it into their rooms, but he couldn't do it.
Right, yeah, they are only available inside of the envelopes. That's the only place the templates are. The cool thing about that, though, is that once it's been signed, it automatically does come into the room.
Okay.
So it's just the original accessing and sending out. You have to go into envelopes. But once it's been signed by all the parties and it's been sent out to whoever needed a copy, it just automatically pops up into the DocuSign room.
Okay, so, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then this is also, so I think I'll show you the share with users. This is something that only the service account, only the admin has this. If agents create templates, they do not have the ability to share with users. So they would want to download it and then they can share it with somebody else. And then that new person, when they upload it, again, it's like a completely separate template. And so they don't affect each other. And that's what I was talking about earlier of that definitely has a benefit to using that as opposed to the shared with users version. All right, so, okay. Oh, Melissa, I know Melissa well. The agent contact counts on Command MC is different than what the agent's telling me they have how to share template. So just to confirm, Melissa, you're saying that when you log into Command MC and you click on the agents button and it's saying, hey, this agent has uploaded 2,000 contacts.
Correct.
Your agent says, no, I've uploaded 3,000.
Yeah. So one of the things that we were doing in our GPS was to obviously get more use of Command. And so I was on a group call and I had them all tell me how many contacts they have, and the numbers are different. Some were different by 5, some were different by like 150. And I came to realize that maybe it's because they're marked as leads and not actual contacts. However, it didn't update my side when we changed all of her leads to contacts.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't heard of that happening. I feel like I should just keep my screen on share because I do want to show you something else that will give you updated information, but monthly. And that's inside of the reports that we have on MyKW. And just checking, can you all see where I'm going in MyKW? Okay, great.
Yes.
So along with all of the reports, like the monthly package that we download as part of our post-transmittal, right? You're probably downloading your multi-year trends. You're probably downloading your scorecard cap detail, associate most recent transaction. Well, the new Vital Signs has the ability for you to drill down into each of the categories so you can see exactly how many contacts, how many opportunities, and a few, quite a few other metrics actually. So I'll show you those in just a second. So let's pop on down to the Southwest, and I'm just gonna randomly choose Lake Havasu. And so anything that's blue, these are ones that you can click on, and then you can see, it'll give you a list of agents from the most opportunities to the least, and it'll tell you who's got what and how many. Please be aware this is updated, I believe, just monthly as a part of transmittal. I'm still waiting to get confirmation from the reports team on that, but that's what it looks like on my end. So this is a place where you can go to get, again, that additional information on all of the different, we'll go back to it, on all of the different metrics that are part of the new Vital Signs report. And you'll notice that when you go to the Vital Signs report, it has the, whenever you see these yellow folders, the yellow folders means that you can access a previous one. So I could come in here and I could download March and I could download April at the same time, and I can compare. And I can see whose database went up and let's celebrate them. And who had 0 opportunities last month and now all of a sudden has 14. My Market Center, we also created achievement badges that we gave out to agents whenever they would hit a certain contact threshold, whenever they created their first smart plan. It was a few things like that. And I'm not joking, those achievement badges, as stupid as they were, because they're just digital achievement badges. I had agents coming to my office saying, I want my next one. What do I need to do? And I was like, well, let's look at your command together and see it. So I would use this for now, Melissa, if that agent, if the agents tab is not functioning. And I'm going to make a note to also, it's just the contacts that were off, no other numbers.
I haven't looked at any other numbers, so I was just curious.
So
That
you're the
report
first
talking
person to say that they've seen an issue with that. So I will look into that. Let's see here. Okay, and then just let's see here. Here we go. When we have a buyer sign a BBA, and so give me a heads up, BBA, is that like a buyer broker agreement? I'm going to assume it's a buyer broker agreement. Okay.
Yep.
Not in contract yet. Are we going to sync the transaction to DocuSign, or DocuSign only for the signature of the attached document? So if I'm understanding you correctly, you, an agent representing a buyer, they need a form and they do want it DocuSign. Yeah, you would just create the DocuSign room for it and get that form signed inside of DocuSign if that's what the agent wants. Now, don't forget, DocuSign is not mandatory, right? It is simply an option that our agents have. Again, my grandmother, she's 96 years old. She doesn't own a computer. She's not electronically signing anything, right? So her realtor is still going to have physical hard copies, and my grandmother's still going to have to sign them with a pen. So a DocuSign is just an option. If that works great in the situation, go for it. If they have like just this one BBA and they just want to print it out and have their buyer sign it with a pen, totally okay. All that matters at the end of the day is that it gets inside of command for compliance, right? DocuSign is just an option. Does DocuSign have template overlay like Dotloop did? Not really, where you can create that same template and say, apply this template to other forms. No, we're not able to do that. We have to create a new template for each form inside of DocuSign. Where do I reach out to update those forms? Yeah, that's that form that we were discussing. Again, that Paul and I will make sure you all have access to.
I did put a link to it, I think, in the chat.
Oh, great. I just maybe haven't gotten there yet then.
That's okay.
Okay. Why can't I, the MCA, add or change our broker-specific forms? So if they're broker-specific forms inside of templates, you can. If they're broker-specific forms that you gave to DocuSign that DocuSign did their thing to, that's why. We don't have the ability to change any kind of DocuSign form. That's on them.
So if I wanted to, I could just recreate them so I can.
Yeah. So the reason I have so many documents inside of templates is that, like, my market center, like I said, we made that hard switch in September of last year because I was like, we are not paying for Dotloop. I like profit bonuses. I like profit share. My OP and broker were totally okay with us making the push. And DocuSign was like, no problem. We've received your forms. Like, our attorney has created over 20 forms that our agents have to use. DocuSign said it was going to be months before we got them. And so that's why I turned them all into templates. Okay, when returning a commission and putting in a note, the agent does not get the message. They only get a bell notification saying click here and then nothing more. You are correct, yes. That is also changing. Please don't quote me on this, I believe it's 2 weeks. Could be 1, could be 3, but it's somewhere this month. Our agents are going to start getting email notifications, not only when there's a returned commission, but also when a document is noted as a missing, you know, if the missing flag is hit. And those email notifications are going to go out every half hour in terms of, if you went and said, okay, 5 documents are missing, the agent's not going to receive 5 different emails. They're going to get one that has the activities from the last half hour in it. And so if anything new changes, they'll get a new email. So that's coming really soon. All right, so I am used to Dotloop templates uploading all the docs needed for each transaction at once. Is there a way to have all the docs in front of you in a DocuSign room from the start? As long as you're using DocuSign forms, yes. So what we have the ability to do, again, as admin, we can go in and we can create DocuSign form groups from anything inside of the DocuSign form library. I can show you that quickly. However, I've also made a video of it and it's on KW Connect. If you go to KW Connect search DocuSign and then narrow it down to just videos, you're going to see that KWU had me make, I don't know, like 15 different videos on how to use DocuSign. And they're all between like basically 1 and 3 minutes long. They're really specific on how to do one specific thing. So it's not a full walkthrough, but it's the how do you split a PDF in DocuSign? Here's the steps. How do you create a template? Here's the steps. Sharing a template. So that's all inside of KW Connect. Let's see here. I found that in some instances, when a client signed a doc, the date and time filled in automatically similar to dotloop. In other instances, only the signature showed up, no date stamp. So Richard is asking this question. That sounds like one of those things that if you're using a DocuSign form, you're going to want to contact DocuSign because it sounds like they didn't populate that field to also have the time and date stamp as part of it. If that's important to you, if you need to have that in there. Another thing that you can do if you needed to have it for record purposes is that agents can also turn on a certificate so that they receive an additional form every time a DocuSign form is signed. It basically produces the certificate of authenticity kind of thing. And then that also ends up inside of the room.
It was actually on our purchase agreement when the seller accepted the purchase agreement. It just had their name at the bottom, but it didn't put the date in. That's a fairly critical form.
Yeah, I agree. That does sound like that's a critical one. So I would reach out to DocuSign today. I mean, as soon as this call ends, fill out that form and say that we're missing the time and date stamp on this. Yeah, that's right. Of everything to make sure that there's a time and date stamp on, that would be it. Pretty much that and the counter offers, right?
So what I've been doing since then, not knowing the answer to that question, I've been putting a signer's signature and then adding the timestamp separately right next to their signature. Does that automatically trigger when they sign, or do they have to click on the timestamp?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody on the call know the answer to that one?
Yes, it automatically. It automatically, if he puts the field in, it will automatically timestamp.
Thank you, Teresa.
Cool. Thank you.
Can we ask DocuSign to make initials and signatures have an either or function, as in, hey, we just need initials or signatures. We don't need both. They're not both mandatory.
No, we've got sections on some of our documents where it's like an A, select A or select B in a lot of spaces. So I found a really great workaround, but it's very cumbersome when you're making a template. But to have where you either select this or this, kind of like a radio button.
Oh, and you're talking inside of the templates, not the DocuSign forms?
Either one. There's no function in either one of them, so it's just a little. It's hard.
I have not found a way to do what you were talking about, because right, we've had the same thing where you're supposed to check either box A, B, or C. We have to put a box next to A, next to B, next to C, and then we just have to assume that our agent's node only check one.
Yeah, I found a good workaround, but like in making a template, but it's just, it would be so nice if it was just, you can make a signature or an initial in a function where it says, hey, choose this initial or choose this initial, you know, so.
I like that functionality. I'll add that to my list of things that we're talking to DocuSign about. Again, please not expect it anytime soon. Right. All right.
Is that something that one of the conditional formattings in templates could do for you?
So Paul asked me to show one of the forms that I created for our market center, and we can go through that. I can show you how I made that.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Absolutely.
You want to do it now?
This is your guys' call.
On the spot, let's go.
Oh my goodness. All right, so I'll share my screen real quick here. I'll have to grant access real quick. If you want to answer another question, I just have to grant access to my computer.
So the next question is 2 months ago. I'm assuming that somebody's answering a question that I asked earlier. Does DocuSign, right, no, we already answered that one. Can you format data input like centering an entry instead of always defaulting to the left justified? not that I have seen. However, there are definitely things that DocuSign does that I haven't come across, but that is not one of the ones that I have seen. Let's see here, Melissa. Oh, there's the link that Melissa provided. Okay. When my agent makes templates or uploads templates in Signature, they can only be moved over into envelopes. Yes, but they can't get them. That's correct, right? Oh, Mariah was also raised by a KW agent, her grandmother. So here we go. And then Ginger says, I thought I heard you say that there were some great uploads just shared. Yeah, so Ginger, if you look inside of the chat message, and I realize it's gotten pretty long, there's about 70 plus messages in here, but if you start at the top of the chat message, inside of this Zoom call, you're gonna find a bunch of uploads that Paul has given you, and there's also some links that Paul and Melissa and a few others have included. Let's see here. And it's possible that if you missed the beginning of the call, you can only see links after you joined. Paul, are you going to be able to share the folder, the the Drive folder with everybody on the call?
Yeah, I'll repost it again in the chat right now.
Thank you.
Ready whenever you guys are.
Cool. Let's go for it. Let's see it, Kenny.
Okie dokie. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
See your mountains.
Yay. Okay. So, and just disclosure, I'm just an agent, a tech driver in our market center, and I was able to get permission from our MCA to use her password and login. So, there we go. So in templates, I've got we've got 10 page, excuse me, offer and acceptance. So we'll just go to edit.
And I like that it has up to 4 possible buyers on there. That's
Yeah.
well done by your market center.
Well, it's yeah. Anyways, that's another issue. But okay, so let's go next. Okay. So just specifically for, let me see. Okay, so we have some contingencies in here. As you can see, the loan contingency, you can either accept it or reject it. And so what I've done is, because a radio button is an either or function, I was able to conditionally require a buyer to select a radio button and conditionally use a conditional logic to connect that to a initial. But what you have to do is, when you put it in here, you can see this. These ones, all these are right here. Mm-hmm. So if I go to buyer, this is buyer 1. Yeah, let me just move your faces out of the way here. So under conditional logic, we have these rules. Here, I'll clear them real quick and recreate them for you. Okay, so you have to click on the radio button that you want to create a rule with. So we're going to create the rule. Okay, we have to select radio 1, and then we select the initial box or whatever signature box you want, and then select done. And then you have to click on radio 2, create a rule up the top from the drop down, select radio 2, and then click on the second box, and then done. And what I found is, if you're selected on radio 1 the whole time, it won't populate correctly. And so as we go to the recipient preview for buyer 1, as it loads. So then we get this function where it's either that one or that one, which is
that is awesome, Kenny. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
I love it.
Where's my Zoom? Oh, here we go. So it's a workaround, but it'd be really nice if it was just like you could select a function, for a signature, because it takes a little bit longer, and I think it's fine for someone on the back end to do that and have a template, but for a form that an agent's filling out, it'd be great if it could just be like, boom, boom. More.
For sure. So Kate wants to know if there's a class on how to use DocuSign for new users. Totally there are. So I would give you a couple of suggestions. Go to YouTube. DocuSign has a channel that has a whole bunch of videos on their part, right? If you go to DocuSign's website, they have tutorials on their website. They have support articles on their website. So the great news about us partnering with this major corporation like DocuSign is that there are more resources than you could possibly want on the functionality. The one thing I would say is that make sure whenever you start to look at, especially on YouTube on those videos, check the date that they were created. And if it's more than a year old, try to find a newer one, because definitely DocuSign does change their platform slowly, but they do change it. And so I found that some of those older videos aren't always correct, like things aren't in the right places anymore. Alrighty, is there a way to add people to the pre-tagged roles list in DocuSign? I would love to add broker, so she is there for every transaction. Right now I need to invite the broker each time. So on the templates, yes. When you're creating a template and you're saying on this template, have it first go to seller 1 and seller 2 for signatures. After they complete, then have it go to buyer 1, buyer 2, and then have it automatically go to broker. And you can even put in the broker's email address there. And then that level of order, including the broker's email address, is attached to the template. Let's see here. Can role descriptions be added to pre-tagged roles like broker and TC? Not sure if I'm quite understanding. Can role descriptions be added to pre-tagged roles? So you're saying that is this templates or is this DocuSign forms?
It's DocuSign forms. So like you have seller 1, seller 2. My agent is asking, can I make a broker or a TC pre-tag role?
So in order, okay. So that's one of the things that we are in conversation. I don't know specifically about those 2 fields, but that's part of the conversations that we're having with DocuSign of, hey, we're real estate specific. We have terminology that DocuSign as a whole does not have. And so that's what we're trying to get some things added to that first details page.
Okay.
And as well as having it auto pull from command.
All right, perfect. Oh yes, that was my other question too.
Oh, great, okay. Let's see here. We have a couple more uploads from Melissa and Paul. And then other market centers have shared templates with me and it clouds my list besides filtering. Is there a way to reject the sharing? There is not. I'm in the same boat as you. I think a lot of people, there was, especially at the beginning, some people were making errors, but what you can do is just find out who shared that with you and ask them to unshare it, right? Right, there's no way for us to reject somebody sharing something with us. It's like an automatic in. However, when you are looking at templates, you can sort it by just my templates or the ones that are shared with me. That might help. However, right, if you're an agent and you're trying to find templates that your market center shared with you, you're gonna see every single template that was shared with everybody. And unfortunately, it was really, it still is really easy to accidentally share something with everyone. If the admin just clicks the button that says everyone, every single agent in all of Keller Williams gets that template.
Yeah, I think they forget that it is company-wide now.
Right, it's everyone. The benefit to that, and I certainly hope that people don't start spamming the system, but we have some teams like the Ben Kinney team and the Kristen Cole team who get a lot of referrals. They could, if they wanted, upload their specific referral form in like W9 and whatnot to just have automatically be shared to everybody in the company of like, oh, no worries, if you need it, it's already there, right? But right, that could start to clog up things pretty quickly. Okay, we are on the last question. Check this out, alrighty. And it says, can agents go straight into DocuSign to create their room and start pulling their forms and sending them for signatures, and then go to command and pull them in? So yes to the first part, that anybody can absolutely go straight to DocuSign, but if you create that room outside of command, there's no way to pull those forms into because command doesn't have that room linked, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say, oh great, this opportunity and this room are the same thing. So I would not suggest that anybody do that unless, and the exception that we had for some of our agents, are our agents who do property management. because they can't do that under our brokerage and out in where I came from. If they did that, they had to have a broker associate license, and they had to have a separate corporation that handled property management. They were able to use this DocuSign account for their property management, and it was linked up in no way to our brokerage and our command account. So they liked that, saved them a little bit of money from having to have a second DocuSign account.
So I know you can do it when you pull in a dot loop. So you create the opportunity and pull in dot loop and you assign the docs, but you can't do that.
No, you got to start in the command.
Gotcha.
Can a template be made into a form? So you can if you have something that you've created as a template, you can upload that or send that to DocuSign using their form request form. It feels weird saying the word form so much. However, they will not automatically use all of the tags that you've created. So definitely review it once they send it back, especially if there's a lot of those radial buttons and checkboxes, because it is easy for those to get, a couple of those to get missed. The other thing I would say is that just kind of like put it on your calendar of annual things that you do. Find out when your state and local boards update their forms, because typically it's on a schedule. Like it's every June, there's the mid-year forms release, and every December, there's the big form release or something like that. DocuSign forms should be automatically updated with those. However, I would put on your calendar to review, especially the big ones, the purchase agreement, the buyer rep agreement, counteroffers, listing agreements, and just make sure that the forms, the fields are now in the correct places on the new forms. That's just one of those things that I would suggest adding that to your annual checklists. All right, any news on TC roles, not just for teams, but TCs that work for a large number of individual agents? Oh my gosh.
We talked about this before, and I just hope there was an update.
Not really. So there's a couple of things that are not exactly kosher. Talk to an agent before you do this. If they want you and if they're okay with you setting them up as a team inside of the Teams administration tool, they all of a sudden will be a team inside of Command and would then have the ability to add an admin within Command, so outside of Winmore. However, if you have a TC that works for, like, let's say 80 different agents in different Keller Williams offices, that TC is now going to have 80 different logins. So some of the TCs are like, no, I don't want a list of usernames and passwords for every single agent I have to log in as. That's not a good solution. So another possible option is talk to your broker and your OP and see if they're okay if you name that TC as a compliance coordinator. That means that they will have access to every document from every agent. So for my market center, for example, we had my OP had 3 different market centers, and he was the broker of all 3 as well, so that made that easy. He had an employee of one of the market centers who was a transaction coordinator who also did a lot of the deals for the agents in my market center. He was okay with us naming her as a compliance coordinator in our market center because he had an employee contract with her that included a non-disclosure agreement and a confidentiality agreement. And so she had access to all of my agents' opportunities, and so she could work from within her own account uploading files. He was not okay with us doing that with the virtual assistants, right? People that he has no contractual agreement with. So that's another possible option. And I saw Kenny laughing, and I'm super curious why. Or something funny just happening in your world.
No, I just keep sending messages to Paul and not everybody else.
Oh! Paul's being spammed with private messages right now. Let's see here. So that is definitely happening, but it's happening slowly.
Neither of those solutions allows the TC to even create the opportunity to start everything. Because I have agents that don't even want to touch it.
No, I hear you. Agents are like, but just have my TC do that. And I'm like, yeah, the compliance coordinators don't see it until it's in the active stage. Mm-hmm. And I would never, ever, ever suggest that anybody share their usernames and passwords, right? Is like everybody clear on that? Okay, right, like never recommend that, and yet that works.
But can you just add them? Well, I guess you can't add them more than once, but we have teams that will be set up through Winmore just so I can add their admin or TC? That's one.
And as long as that admin is just on that team, that totally works. And that's the way it should be done. Absolutely. Because that roles and permissioning is happening pretty soon, actually, before Mega Camp.
Right.
But it's for those TCs that operate for
Right.
lots of individual agents. That roles and permissioning is happening at a much slower rate. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was, and again, I've like totally lost track of time. A couple of months ago, Josh Team did an Ask Me Anything, and he took questions from the audience, and I specifically asked him this because this was a big deal in my office, right? Where we don't have a heck of a lot of teams. We have a high, like average price points, 1.2 million. You don't need a team to sell tons and tons of real estate volume. So a lot of agents just have TCs that they just hire and pay per closing. And so I asked Josh about this, and he kind of said what I'm saying now is it's coming down the road, but it's slow. And then he gave us some more information. We're actually working with the FBI on a couple of different, multiple occasions now of virtual assistants. I don't know if they're in the United States or if they're in a different country, who have been selling client information to interested parties who might be interested in purchasing client names, bank account information, social security numbers, driver's licenses. We are absolutely fully cooperating, but that is putting a little bit of a stickiness in here of how can we protect our agents and how can we protect their clients, right?
It's Zillow.
Right. It is Zillow, and it's also cyber hackers. Cyber hackers are not that the virtual company's doing it, but they're getting access to systems and backend, and that's where Josh and Gary's concern is.
Right. So I definitely see where they're coming from of why of course, we are always wanting to make sure that we're protecting our agents and clients. And I wish that we could protect our agents and clients and still have this done tomorrow. Right. I mean, we all feel that way.
The one piece of workaround that I've been trying to do with my TC is have the agent create the opportunity, link it to DocuSign, and then add him as part of the room.
Totally. Yep. You can add them. And then if you name them as an agent owner in the room, they'll have the same access that an agent would to DocuSign. That still doesn't give them the ability to then upload the documents to the command system, have communication with the compliance department, but that's definitely a step in the right direction. So that definitely works. But yeah, there is no perfect solution right now. There's just a few different jerry-rigging systems of kind of workarounds that none of them are elegant solutions. Let's see here. Will people in the same room be able to edit a document together? Oh, kind of like how Dotloop, everybody went to Dotloop and I could be editing it while you're reading it. And we could be, yeah, DocuSign very much works in, nope, somebody else is reading this book right now. You can't have that book. Unless you're like my sister and I, and we read at the same pace, and then we can read Harry Potter together at the same time. But yeah, so that's a no. And are we still having Mega Camp? I want to come to Austin. I can tell you that we are planning to have Mega Camp, that the absolutely plans are in the works. However, I absolutely cannot speak to what our country is going to look like come August, right? I don't know. I don't think, and none of us could know. And although if you do know, please let me know, because I want to know so I can buy certain stocks and then sell other ones. Totally off topic, but has anybody seen, it's like this hilarious YouTube video of this woman from like March or April who travels back in time to talk to her January self. And it's like giving her, she's like, butterfly effect. I can't go into details, but I can give you some generals, like make a Costco run now, you know, like sell all your stocks, but buy Zoom, invest in Zoom. Anyway, hilarious video if you guys want to laugh for about 3 minutes straight and watch all the way to the end, because the last comment's my favorite. Yeah, Austin is a pretty cool city. I hope that you guys all do get to come out here in August, because I'm looking forward to getting to explore it more myself. But that's the last question in the chat, and that took up 53 minutes. I think you guys like timed that perfectly, so great job.
I just added one more.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
It hasn't popped in for me yet for some reason.
So my question is, so can the Market Center, and I can't see it happening now, when I go to opportunities, my agents have not added the address. They put it as the opportunity name, but when I search for the address, it doesn't pull it up.
So a couple things at play there. One of them, training, right? Have your agents fill out the detail section inside of Command, and then you'll be able to search it by the property address, whether they named that opportunity that or not. talk to them that there's a benefit to them as an agent for filling out that property, that details section, because that's going to be auto-filling into DocuSign. So if they're using DocuSign, one less thing to have to fill out in DocuSign. It's going to auto-pull in things like property information. And then also just let them know, like, hey, if you want to get paid on time, we need you to do this. Like, this is, yeah, at the beginning, back in the beginning of this, that wasn't a way to do it. And so my compliance officer and I had like a very fancy Google sheet for us to be able to track every single closing with like ID numbers and property addresses and if the listing was done or not. The good news is we don't need that anymore because it's come so far. All right. That's it, you guys. This is seriously been so much fun. Thank you for your time. Paul, anything that you want to wrap up with?
No, thank you so much, Kelly. I mean, you've been an incredible help. I'm sure all of us would agree there. Make sure you find her at May Camp Family Reunion. Buy lots of drinks. But I really appreciate your time, Kelly. Really do.
Well, thank you so much. You guys
Thank
have
you.
a great
Thank
day.
you, Kelly. That was great.
Wonderful getting to spend the hour with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
Bye. See you guys later, hopefully in August.
See ya.